You know, sequels make us nervous more than anything else. So what we're hoping to do with Overwatch 2 is really redefine what a sequel means.
Well, Overwatch certainly did redefine what a sequel means.
It has finished. Overwatch League, as we know, is over.
The main thing that Overwatch 2 is supposed to do isn't happening. That's right. You know the only thing that you were supposed to get excited about with the game? They canceled it.
You have this sequel that was supposed to have a huge story mode PvE to it that's not there anymore, and now scrambling to try and justify why it's even still called Overwatch 2.
They killed Overwatch 1, arguably one of the best PvP games of all time when it was actually supported, for a game that isn't going to come out. Overwatch 2 is literally an update plus a shop update.
If they're not working on PvE, and they're not doing it anymore, then where is all the time spent then?
Overwatch was a game that in its prime was both genre-defying and groundbreaking. For a first-person shooter to come out in what many called an oversaturated market and deliver an experience so fresh, so unique, and so unforgettable to play was something that no one had really seen in a long time.
I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
For a new take on a first-person shooter that combined the brilliance of the FPS genre with the strategic hero-based elements of a MOBA, whilst it may seem like a normal thing now to see hero-type based games, Overwatch in many ways, whilst not being the first, was definitely the first to make these two work so brilliantly.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would.
Overwatch was worshipped and revered by its fans, and to this day has been one of Blizzard's best-selling games, with an article from Bloomberg showing Overwatch has sold more than 50 million copies since its launch. However, if we look at the current state of what is now known as Overwatch 2, saying this game is worshipped and revered by its existing player base would be an outright lie.
Overwatch 2 was supposed to have PvE, it's the reason the game was made. It was scrapped and now we have a shell of what it originally was. It begs for your money, heroes are now locked behind a battle pass. They essentially scrapped everything they promised for PvE and downgraded the game and are slowly reintroducing aspects of the first game and calling them updates.
I'm gonna be real, I could keep going with these as there's so many videos that just read out the hate comments. There is actually over 120,000 hate comments about the game, so I think if we just stop at 3, we all get the point. We get the point, alright? We don't want to keep going on. Overwatch 2 in its current state is not only a formless shadow of itself, but also a flat-out representation of Blizzard's current despairing state. In this deep dive, we're going to be looking at how Blizzard killed a giant in the gaming industry with its own incompetence, and how the glory days of Overwatch are not only gone, but never coming back. November the 1st, 2019 can be forecasted as the beginning of the end for Overwatch as we knew it. Leading up to this day, Overwatch 1 was still seeing great numbers, from a thriving player count on the game to even the fairly new esports known as the Overwatch League pulling in fantastic numbers on live streams. Overwatch looked unstoppable and had really cemented itself 3 years after its launch as a game that was not only more than just a phase, but a game that at the time had an insanely bright future ahead of itself even after being 3 years old. However, the 1st of November 2019 was a day that would change Overwatch forever.
Yes, we are.
Damn, that's badass. Oh, fuck!
November the 1st, 2019 was the day Blizzard at BlizzCon announced that Overwatch was getting a sequel. Now, if you weren't around at this time, it's hard to state just how excited everyone was for Overwatch 2. It's easy to forget now, but at this point in time, Blizzard not only had a pretty excellent track record when it came to anything Overwatch related, but in the eyes of the public, Blizzard was a company that many put on a pedestal and trusted a lot.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Overwatch 2 promised to take everything the original had done and do it bigger and better, completely changing the format of the game to a 5v5 for quicker and more action-packed fights, and even adding a fully fledged out PvE mode that players at the time had been wanting since the first Overwatch had PvE modes during special events. Whilst many were on the fence about a game players had put literal thousands upon thousands of hours and even money into getting a sequel, Jeff Kaplan, the game's director at the time, had promised players that Overwatch 2 would allow players to carry over all their stats, skins, and playtime from the first game. Now, whilst this sounded great at first, this is where the community's excitement began to turn into confusion and even skepticism. If this so-called bigger and better sequel was happening, why would a player from Overwatch be able to carry over everything from the previous game like nothing had happened? Whilst fans were happy they weren't losing everything they had worked so hard for in the first game, if this was essentially going to be the same game with a PvE mode added to it, then why make another game at all?
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
At this time, many were trying to defend Blizzard, saying Overwatch 2 will definitely be worth the wait, as Blizzard is really good at listening to the community and add fantastic content to the game, even saying the PvE content will 100% be worth them making another game alone. However, during all this fighting commotion within the community, something very wrong was happening with the current Overwatch. Weeks began to turn into months without anything essential or significant being added to Overwatch. And whilst a patch or balance change would happen here and there, Blizzard was essentially not adding anything of substance like new maps or heroes to Overwatch 1 for almost 2 years prior to the release of Overwatch 2. This was a significant factor in Blizzard gutting themselves with their own knife. Due to there being no content for a considerable amount of time prior to Overwatch 2, the player base for once such a great and thriving game began to decline drastically. Whilst it was evident Overwatch 1 was dying, what this also meant for Overwatch 2 was that if it didn't come out of the gate swinging and be worth the wait, letting Overwatch 1 essentially rot with no content for 2 years would have been all for nothing. So what this truly meant now was fans were not only hoping but praying Overwatch 2 delivered on what Blizzard said it would. After years of anticipation and hype, finally, Overwatch 2 was ready to launch, and on October the 4th, 2022, it finally did. Whilst the queue time for Overwatch 2 was insane.
So not that... Wait, what the fuck is this?
Once players got on, they finally got to see what Blizzard had been doing for the past 3 years. However, this is where everything quickly started going downhill. Whilst there was the initial excitement of the players, rather quickly that excitement shifted to rage and dissatisfaction. Whilst the gameplay was undoubtedly fun and excellent, as at the end of the day it was just still Overwatch, to say what Overwatch 2 had to offer at launch being nothing short of a joke and an embarrassment would be underselling just how underwhelming Overwatch 2's content was.
Oh my god, bro. There's nothing here. It's just Overwatch. I'm in a 40,000 queue to just play Overwatch. Again.
After all that time and all of that talk and promise of bigger and better things, the only thing Overwatch 2 had to show for itself was just a handful of maps and 3 new characters. To say this is what Overwatch 2 was supposed to be, it was nothing short of a complete insult to the loyal and dedicated player base that stuck by and defended the game for all those years. There are a few things I want to get into with the launch of Overwatch 2, and that's really starting with the content of the game. Firstly, whilst I and many enjoyed the new heroes, to say there were only 3 new heroes after 3 years is insane no matter what you think about Overwatch 2. And even if it is your favourite game, you cannot deny it was just a ridiculous thing after 3 years to have only 3 new heroes. The maps, again, whilst not bad, were far too few and we really needed more than what these maps had to offer. As other than push, it felt like you would hardly get new maps to begin with, and it was just essentially like you were playing the old Overwatch with nothing new other than one less player now. That also brings me to push. Whilst this wasn't a bad idea on paper, in reality, this may be one of the worst game modes I've ever played in a video game, and I'm sure many other community members feel like this. Push feels like an experiment game mode done by Blizzard just to see how much torture and torment Overwatch players can take. And quite frankly, it's insane just how terribly designed this game mode is. There's a fantastic video done by GamerMath which breaks down the game mode and goes into incredible detail just on how and why Push is so bad. And whilst it's quite an old video, I would argue it's even more relevant than ever, so definitely go check that out as the majority of the main points really haven't changed from that video. Another thing that massively hindered Overwatch 2's launch was the fact that the game just didn't launch with PvE. Whilst at the time we had no idea what was going on, the fact that the game did not launch with the actual purpose of what the sequel was made for was just flat out insane. Also, the new monetization system is just disgusting. Yes, it was apparent Overwatch had to get rid of the loot boxes due to the new laws. However, the new battle pass system and item shop system are just a joke. £20 for skins that are 6 years old, insane prices for things like emotes and even charms on your gun that you will hardly see, to just a terrible battle pass, which for some reason also has the new heroes locked in it, so you either grind like a slave because leveling in the game takes years, or pay for it, which is what Blizzard would much rather you do. Whilst loot boxes are usually bad in games as they can promote unhealthy habits and harm people, Overwatch was one of the few games that did loot boxes really well, and many would absolutely agree with this statement. However, I know I said Blizzard had to change the loot box system due to the laws, but I've always thought Blizzard was going to do this sort of change anyway, as they probably saw the success of games like Valorant and Fortnite with a free-to-play model but charging high prices for skins, and if we know one thing that Blizzard loves, it's money. So personally, I think even if the loot boxes did stay, they definitely wouldn't have been the same as they were in Overwatch 1 due to the game going free to play. The launch for Overwatch 2 can easily be described as just a terrible experience, with hardly any new content, no PvE, and with the little content that there is not being that great. After 3 years, the game we got to see was just Overwatch 1 with one less teammate. Overwatch 2 has gone and highlighted just how purely incompetent the team behind Overwatch has been in recent times. Whilst for many years people gave nothing but praise for the Overwatch team, in recent times that praise is far minor compared to what it used to be. And honestly, some could argue for good reason. There were many telling signs at the time, even before Overwatch 2 launched, that in hindsight, players should have looked back on with skepticism. The most significant telltale sign, without a doubt, was the removal of 6v6 for 5v5. Some may argue and not think that this is that major of a point, but in actual fact 6v6 was literally removed purely due to the fact that Overwatch and the Blizzard team behind it just didn't know how to balance an Overwatch meta based around 6 heroes on a team anymore, and likewise role queue was added yet again to fix a balancing issue from Blizzard, as they simply didn't know how to rework the game out of the infamous GOATS meta period of Overwatch 1. And GOATS got so bad that it even got to the point that if any other team tried to play any different meta, this would just end up happening.
Houston, it's Jake on the far. This combo's worked well for them before, but as soon as they see the defensive setup, they will just simply swap it away. Crucial time lost here.
I've highlighted this as I'm sure many can also see due to the current state of Overwatch that the balancing team not knowing how to balance a 6v6 Overwatch isn't the only issue anymore. It's clear straight up they just don't have an idea of how to balance the majority of heroes in the game. That's why each month after a major patch or rework of certain characters, there is a constant new switch in the meta, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing, but it does go to show even after 6 years they just do not know how to rework or balance characters without making certain players just an instant lock in comp or you are literally throwing. Okay, this also does lead me onto the rank system in Overwatch 2. Right, to give the team credit, they tried to do something different from the first game, which to be honest I don't think that many people had a massive problem with the original rank system in the first game, but anyway, the new system just doesn't work. I know they are addressing just how awful the current competitive system is in Overwatch 2 finally, but my god is this current system just awful. Even at the level of Grandmaster, it is rare you will get an even game. It does just feel like either one game you are steamrolling the opposition and the next you are the one getting steamrolled. I do want to actually quickly say, however, that whilst I have just dogged on the game so far, and believe me, I'm going to continue to, the developers and balancing team, whilst not wholly innocent, definitely aren't the reason the game is in its current awful state. So they should not be the ones to be blamed for Overwatch's current horrendous state. And I'm sure they are just as angry and annoyed as the fans are, because really there is a great game under all this mess and monetization, and if the developers can just get a better grip of balancing and adding in more content quicker, and really just fully listen to the community, this game could be and would be in a much better state than it is. Right, now, the game has launched and people aren't happy with the content or the game itself. However, people kept grasping at the hope that PvE will save the game. If you weren't around or involved in the community at the time whilst Overwatch 2 was doing badly, fans kept saying and repeating that PvE would save the game, PvE would bring back so many players, and PvE would be the game's saving grace and change the game forever. Well, on the 16th of May, an announcement from the Blizzard team regarding PvE certainly did change the game and its remaining course forever.
With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore.
After now 4 whole years, and with fans only waiting for one thing, this, by many in the community, is seen as the final nail in the coffin. With no PvE mode after all this time, fans were broken. The whole reason this game existed, and the whole reason Overwatch 1 sat in purgatory, rotting, PvE was said to take the Overwatch franchise to new heights and extremes. And yet now, it was clear that was all talk and no action from Blizzard. A lot of fans think the reason why PvE was scrapped was due to the abrupt and out of nowhere departure of the game director and fan favourite Jeff Kaplan. Jeff was clearly the game's main foundation and was absolutely the glue keeping the game together. Jeff had worked on Overwatch since the very beginning and in fact had been working at Blizzard for over 10 years. So this random and out of the blue departure, without a doubt, massively hit the game. And many speculate that Jeff did not leave on good terms due to the just sudden stand away from the project. Jeff leaving is a huge reason why the game is in its current state, as it's clear that he was the life force and driving factor for many things in the previous game, but also just the leading visionary, not just for PvE, but Overwatch as a whole. So with no real captain to steer the ship, the crew were only bound to sail with no direction, and in fact, this endless sailing with no direction would only get worse. To really cement the fact that Overwatch as a franchise was just not what it used to be now, only a few weeks from this video being up, the once highly watched and loved Overwatch League has been ultimately cancelled. The Overwatch League, once one of the most exciting aspects of Overwatch, has been cancelled due to the league just being insanely expensive for teams to even exist in. Whilst the Overwatch League could occasionally put in fantastic numbers, this wasn't always the case. Also, the actual running cost for these orgs to even be in the league was just far too much, with Blizzard asking for record-breaking buyout fees in an already struggling market. It's no wonder this once amazing thing has failed, as surprise surprise, Blizzard managed to think about only one thing and one thing only, again being money. The Overwatch League dying is actually a massive thing when looking at the state of Overwatch from a competitive games perspective. Having a thriving esports is really an essential part of any competitive game and its community. If you look at League, Dota or CSGO, the massive tournaments are not only a joy to watch, but also make the community want to play the game, as you truly get to witness the game you are played at a level you just could never imagine. There are so many iconic moments from all these previously mentioned competitive games and even the Overwatch League. Moments like the infamous C9 or Shanghai Dragons' first win after going 42 games in a row without winning a single game.
Just a couple more percent to go. Let them have it, Boston. Axiom, top of the Primal Rage, but it does not matter. Ladies and gentlemen, history has been made. The Shanghai Dragons, on the 43rd attempt out, managed to pick up their first match victory.
Moments like these are so unforgettable and vital for any competitive game, as true fans of the game will never forget them, and taking away the opportunity to even be given these moments says everything about the current state of not just Overwatch, but Blizzard as a whole for just dropping the ball massively by mishandling the Overwatch League. It's clear that from the egregious battle pass, disgusting monetization of skins, awful microtransactions, and the game going free to play, all of these things were well out of the hands and decision of the developers and purely down to the executives and higher ups at Blizzard. After this past year, and with everything that's come out about the company, it's not a surprise that being greedy and caring about money more than players are the least horrible things this company can do. Blizzard is undeniably the sole reason Overwatch 2 has become the cash-grabbing, unfun, and just soulless copy that it is today. They are the reason the Overwatch League died. Many are sure Blizzard is the reason Jeff left, and many fans, whether they love the game or not, are sure that this company is nothing but a money-grabbing, disgusting corporation that treats their players and workers like trash. However, there may still be a glimmer of hope. Due to Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard for the fee of $60 billion, many players now believe that this will allow for the Overwatch team to actually start developing things they care about and fix the just awful state of the game. In fact, whilst I'm writing this script, the Overwatch team has confirmed they're going to be addressing the things the player base hates the most about the game. They're also going to be adding and working on more heroes, more maps, and just give the players what they actually want and deserve. Furthermore, it was recently announced that the CEO Bobby Kotick, who is widely known as the main reason for just the horrific work conditions and state of Blizzard, has stepped away from the company, so now Activision Blizzard may be able to start over again and turn over a new chapter. However, at the end of the day, this is all just hopes and maybes from me and many other players. Overwatch was once a magical game and truly was fantastic. It not only defined a genre, but it also gave me and so many other players and their friends, or just themselves alone, just incredible memories. At the end of the day, nobody wants to see Overwatch in the current state that it is. So here's hoping to a brighter future for once such an amazing game. Hey guys, just another quick outro. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps out just massively. By the way guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Overwatch is unsavable, or do you actually think the team at Overwatch can finally save the game? Please let me know. I'm really interested to see what you guys think, and I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. Also, on another side note, you guys did insane on the last video, and it's currently over 100,000 views, and all the comments and stuff have been amazing and nothing but supportive, so really thank you guys so much for that. The next video I'm going to work on, I'm going to be focusing on something a lot more positive than just downfall of games. I don't really, even if they get less views, I don't really want that to be the sort of direction the channel heads on. So I'm a positive man, so I want, you know, the channel to be positive. I've just been doing these deep dives and like the downfall videos because games like Overwatch, FIFA, stuff like that, I've been playing those games for ages and I hold them really dear to my heart. And I always think, you know, looking at how or why things went wrong, also really interesting, especially in the gaming industry, because there's so many pulling factors and so many moving factors into why things happen, why things succeed, why things don't succeed. So I always think looking into them on a deeper level is always interesting. But yeah, I do want to do some more positive videos and just some more cooler deep dives into stuff I'm also passionate about in the gaming area, and not just downfalls and deep dives of things that have failed. I know the holidays are sort of happening or have come by and everything, so I hope you had a good Christmas, or even if you don't celebrate it, I hope you had a good time. And if you did have people to spend it with, or you were just on your own, I hope you're all doing well mentally, physically, all that good stuff. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay safe, stay well, peace.